Well, welcome back, everybody. Sorry for being MIA for God knows how long at this point. We have just been busy, no excuses. We just suck at this, don't we?
Well, we do have excuses. Your internet is unstable slash unreliable.
It's actually I'm on full fiber now. I have
You
been for a couple
are?
months, yeah. So
Wow.
yeah.
And then 'tis the season for germs. And so the other part of that is my family is just always sick.
Yeah, we have to mention that it is currently 5:21 a.m. for Hannah.
It's not that bad. It's fine.
It's I have no
It is
words.
dark
I don't
outside though.
understand.
So
Yeah, for the first time, it's dark there, not here when we're recording.
yeah. Maybe this is just the new time we record.
That works for me. I'm like fully
don't-
awake.
I don't mind it.
All right, amazing. Okay, so we're here, sort of an unplanned situation with this episode. We're here to talk about an experience that I've had recently. It's very fresh, still boiling in my blood, with an event called Knitting and Stitching Show, which happened a couple weekends ago in Harrogate, which is like an hour away from me, and it is one of those biggest. I don't even know how to like categorize it. One of those biggest craft shows that only focus on fiber arts like quilting, embroidery, cross stitch, all things fiber and fabrics and stuff like that. And unfortunately, I had a pretty sucky experience being a part of it, and I wanted to spill the tea because I believe that people need to hear about this shit.
Well, and I think it's also like, especially when it's a show specific for what kind of work we do. It wasn't like a full blown art show for everybody. It was very like specific.
Concentrated, yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like when there are shows like that, you expect to have a good result because it's like so advertised to a
Exactly.
specific group of people.
Yeah, it's a rare occurrence. Like it only happens once a year in
Yeah.
in here. They do it 3 times a year, but in different locations. So yeah, this one is like serves the north, basically people from all around, like Scotland and north of west
Oh, wow.
and east England come. Some people come from south as well, but they also do one in London in, I believe, October. Yeah, they're kind of like back to back. They do one in London in October, and then late October they do Belfast, which is Northern Ireland, and then November they do Harrogate, which is Northern England.
And you weren't the only person that was there that like we know. Like you got to meet a couple people that
I did.
we're
That was
online
like,
friends with.
honestly, like it was
Highlight?
the best. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was. I didn't expect that. Somehow I didn't bloody have time to even think about that. But yeah, it was by far the highlight. Just meeting people, like getting to know
Yeah.
people, even people around my stand. Like I got put under a wing, and I could not be more grateful for the. I'm really bad with names, but Zarina was the name of a lady who was the stand across from me. She has a Russian name. That's why I remember her name.
Oh.
She's not Russian. Her mother just liked the name, which is what she told me. But yeah, I
I love
got
that.
put under a wing, and she like tutored me through the whole thing and supported me. There was one day that I was by myself because Catherine couldn't come, jury bloody duty.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so she would be like, she'd come, a couple hours after it kind of was like really busy. She'd come and be like, okay, go on the break, like fuck off, go take a break. And she would like look after my stand.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that was so good.
I think a part of that is like you expect the experience to be so good because you also see other people that like you admire and respect. Like RSN was there, like it's
Yeah,
there's
that
you
was really
expect
fun.
a certain caliber of customer and the amount of customers to be there because you see other people that are like in our industry from the outside always appear to do well.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. And there were like so many cool brands in there as well. But something I didn't necessarily expect is that most people who go exhibit, that's what they're called. Like, I don't actually know why it's called, like, we would be called exhibitors. I don't see it as that, but I guess that's the term. So we're going to stick to the term. But I didn't realize that most of them go there and pay the crazy amounts of money that you have to pay to be there just for exposure. just to be in front of the people who are interested in slash, you know, in the niche, basically interested in the industry. That caught me by surprise, and not necessarily like in a good way, because I don't want to pay that much money for the exposure to maybe 15,000 people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially because exposure these days doesn't come from events anymore. It comes from social media, and you already have that. So
yeah, that's another thing is when I first expressed my interest to be exhibiting at the show, I was under the impression that they like carefully curate their exhibitors.
yes.
And you know, you have to have something good to show for yourself, you know, to not good, like that's a bad word, I'm sorry. I basically was under the impression that you have to have some kind of name out there already, say maybe on social media, have a website, things like that, that they could be, you know, kind of judging by to give you a yes or no type thing. Like, would you be a good contributor?
Yeah, I don't think that assumption was unfounded either, because that is pretty a common thing for any kind of show that's specific like this. Like they're normally in like the application process, it'll say something like, these are curated people. We will hand select based on like your social media feed and like your aesthetic, your branding.
You know what's crazy? The application process, I'm not even joking. It is, please give us your name, please give us your email address, your link to your website if you have one, a link to your social media if you have one, and that's it. That's the application process.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I was fully expecting like a form, like, tell us why you want to exhibit, tell us all these different things, like how are you going to be a good fit and all that stuff. Nothing.
There was nothing
like
after that.
Like 4 questions. What are you going to be selling? That was another question. Yeah, like maximum character allowance is like 60. I don't know, like maybe a sentence.
So there wasn't really anything for them even to follow up with, like to look you up.
I guess like social media and the website, if people leave that, I guess that's the only thing that they can go off of, which is fair enough in our day and age. But also most people who were exhibiting that I got to meet, catch up, like I'd always be like, oh, Instagram, please. Like, you know, that's kind of where we can chat. That's where I can, you know, check out your work and all this stuff. I mean, I know followers is not, you know, a big thing, but there was nobody who had, you know, apart from a couple people, I guess, who had much of a presence online whatsoever on social media, which I'm fine by. But you know, it tells you some things about how they curate this. And surprisingly, a lot of those people that I got to talk to said that they're here for exposure. If the going like saying was, if you can break even at the show, it's a win. And I 100% disagree with that on all levels.
What?
It's nuts.
I don't think breaking even is ever
exactly like in anything
a good thing.
Right?
Because you're not paying yourself for your time then.
You're not paying yourself for anything. Like breaking even is a waste of effort, time, money, like everything. Come on, I could be doing other things.
Yeah.
Much better things.
Not to mention, you also dealt with the incredible stress of inclement weather and transportation.
Exactly. Like there's things that you don't necessarily think about when it comes to doing a show. A lot of those people had to get hotels because they were not nearby, you know.
Right.
Fuel, food, all kinds of stuff. The expenses that go in there. It's not just the stand, which, by the way, they charge so much. It's actually crazy. I did some math prior to go in there, kind of trying to figure out like what my goal would be money-wise, because obviously I was there to make some money.
Make money, yeah.
Yeah. And based on the experiences that a couple other people shared with me, how much money they made in gross sales, not including, you know, paying for the stand, food, stock, and it like literally just the money that they were able to bring into their bank account after, you know, the whole show, which is 4 days long, by the way. It was basically between $5,000 and like £9,000 for the 4 days. I was kind of going off of that. If my goal was to bring in £10,000, including all the spending on stock, the stand, the extras, the fuel, the food, all that stuff, if I were to bring in £10,000, it would have still been about a 50% sale, like a discount, a 50% discount still. If I were to make that, I made nowhere near that. I never made my money back. Let's call it a total flop. But yeah, this is and all of those people were so happy about bringing, £9,000. They were so, so happy. And I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe, well, I actually I don't even know what I'm thinking about that. It would only make sense if you were reselling stuff. If you're putting time and effort into creating products, curating, designing, doing all the stuff, packaging yourself, it does not make sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense if you buy a pair of scissors, you hang them on the bloody pegboard or something, somebody buys it, and you make that amount of money. Yes, then it makes sense. If it's low effort, you're just there and it's going to pay you for your time to be there. But other than that, absolutely fucking not.
Wow. Also, over 4 days.
Yeah.
That makes me so sad. I think the other part of it is because our primary source of income is through our websites. So the fact that we already have established ourselves and make sales online without needing to drive anywhere, without needing to have a stand, without all of that extra stuff, it needs to almost be, you almost need to make even more than what other people would say to make it feel worth it, because otherwise you would have been better just advertising a sale on your website.
No, exactly. Imagine I would be able to make so much money if I offered a 50% off, which I will never be doing, because that is just basically losing money. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's kind of what it was like, because you didn't make enough profit to cover everything.
It was more than that. It was anyway, I don't want to talk about it. It's pretty bad. It's okay. I'm looking at this experience as an incredibly important learning opportunity.
Right.
When it comes to communication, when it comes to dealing with other businesses, when it comes to dealing with organizations that literally give no fucks about your success, well-being, or anything. I could say so many negative things about this organization. I even looked through the contract today just to make sure that there's no bloody NDA in there somehow, which I couldn't find one. So I think I'm free to talk. But I also got an email this morning about this survey. How after every event they're like, what do you think we could do better? And all these questions, and at the end they were like, we would like you to give us a testimonial, and it will be broadcast along our social media and email and all that stuff. And I was like, yes, please broadcast this shit. I did not write any nice thing at all, and I hope they put that on the website. Watch that. They're never gonna do it. Watch it. They're never gonna do it.
Did you have a chance to talk to any of the other vendors about their experiences, ones that you?
Yeah.
And did they all feel the same way?
I didn't, obviously, you don't build a relationship in 4 days to be able to be completely open. But yes, there was a few people who were like, this is the last time I'm doing this. I'm sick of this.
You couldn't have been the only one that had negative feedback then.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. That most of them were under the impression that if you break even, it's a win for you. Wow. That's the mindset that they went in with. Mind-boggling, honestly.
I'm considering applying for a big art show that's on the West Coast, and having this conversation is maybe I don't need to apply.
I'm sure that it's different in America.
Yeah.
Because you guys have so many other things in the States to do with art and crafts and all that stuff. This is about as niche down as it goes. There's no such thing as art walks. There's no such thing as...
But then I feel like that would mean that you should have had it even better. I don't know.
I'll tell you this, and Natalie told me that before the show, because I was telling her about how much I spent on the stand and all the extras and blah, blah, blah. And she just like, it just went off her lips, like, you know, as if it was nothing. And she just said, the only people who are making money on the show is the organizers. That couldn't be like closer to the truth. What's the saying? What do I say? Like, it's so
No, yeah,
bloody true.
you got it. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, because they charge people to go in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think that's like a normal thing. Was there an application fee
For what?
to apply? Like when you put your name? Like
Oh, no,
like when
no.
Okay. Because in the United States, normally there's an application fee, even if it's just like, I don't know, $10 to $30,
Yeah,
but there's
yeah.
an application fee just to like so they make money that way.
Yeah.
And that's how art shows are too. And
Yeah,
then,
it's the same here, like with galleries and art shows. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same. But no.
and then once you make it in, it's the cost of like the space that you basically like rent a space. So it's like an 8x8 table space or something. And most of them, especially if it's like a multi-day one, does cost somewhere between like $850 to $2,000. So I mean, like it's such an upfront cost, and these markets are making a kill because it does not cost that much to rent those spaces
Of course not.
when they have that many vendors.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that if you wanted to go in there as a visitor, you have to pay 18 quid. That's like
Just to go-
$25. Yeah, entrance fee. You cannot go there if you don't pay.
Yeah.
$25 just to go in to spend money.
Yeah. No, I think that's a pretty common thing for the bigger markets here. You do have to pay at the door.
Yeah, but do you have to pay $25 just to go in and spend more money?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. Like, I don't have a crazy amount of issues with that because, you know, fair enough. But
yeah, it does dissuade people from shopping if you already have to spend money just to go inside.
well, the people that I was able to talk to, you know, just the visitors, they would always kind of just say that if I were to purchase all the things that I'm purchasing here online, the shipping would cost more.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, that is fair. But also it is fun to go in there, you know, and browse around and all the stuff. I believe that it's probably a good experience for visitors, but they probably don't know how much the vendors are being charged, you know, for just to be there, and also all the extras that they make you believe that you need to purchase.
Insurance, and do you have to do insurance and all of that too?
Yeah, but most people will have insurance anyway.
On your own.
Yeah. Like with my type of insurance, you can like sell in person from time to time. It shouldn't be your primary, but because it's online is way more safe.
Yeah, that's how mine is too. The only reason why I'm considering applying for this art show is because it's in California. It's either in LA or San Francisco, which are huge art markets, and it's where money is. And that's the only reason why I'm considering, because I'm like, people there spend a lot of money on art. So like maybe I should apply.
For sure. I mean, I would. It's probably crazy different, you know, to the UK.
But I think I think the reason why I've always been hesitant to even participate in markets locally is because my experience has been very similar. Even if it's been low stakes, like even if it's been a market in town, the stand fee and stuff is like less than $50. It's still sometimes not even worth it then, because for me, my whole thing,
the demographics,
that, and also when you are vending, so many people do not pay themselves an hourly wage. But if you had an employee go, you would have to pay them for their time.
Yeah.
And like, to me, I would not make even close to enough money to pay myself, even like $15 an hour. I don't make enough to cover all of that. So then I'm like, this is not worth it. Also, that's time away from my family. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. No, same. Literally, I would never apply to like regular. Right now, it's big because Christmas markets are everywhere, and people go and like vend there. And I'm like, well, whatever you want to do, if it does something good for you. But I would never do that because there's no way it's worth it. I don't know. Like my experience with these like regular markets is that it's just crap from China. You know what I mean? People are not expecting to buy handmade things.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll be advertised as handmade, but you can tell they're not.
Yeah.
You know, whatever, all these things. Yeah, there's no way. But with these type of like concentrated, very one type of interest or a couple types of interest people, it makes sense that one, they would charge you money just to go in, and two, that it would be more expensive to participate, which is what I expected anyway.
Yeah.
The only thing that I didn't expect is that they would charge me a lot more than other people for the stand because it was my first time and I had no reference of what is the going rate. Yeah, they charged me like 30% more than any other person paid. Yeah. And that is a problem that I have with them.
What?
Yeah.
And you didn't have like a bigger stand space or anything?
Oh, no, because they charge for like square footage. Like per square meter, you pay per square meter.
Yeah.
So you can choose how many meters you want, but you're paying per. So yeah, it's crazy. And I only found out on the last day because I had I had other issues. The way that the whole thing was organized for exhibitors is you would have been given a manual, which is like a PDF document. And I'm not even joking. It's like 100 pages long. Like everything...
What?
Is supposed to be in there, but a lot of it is very misleading language that is being used to guide you. One of the things that they made me, like I would consider like bullied me into purchasing as an extra was a socket in my stand so I can use lighting. Because in the manual it said no battery operated lights are allowed, like no lithium batteries on site at all. There was no other way for me to interpret it than to think I cannot use battery operated lights. Hence, I need to purchase a socket and buy some lights that will plug in there. And then you obviously have to pay for using electricity, which was another extra cost. And then because I was bringing my own lights and they would have been plugged into the mains, I needed to purchase PAT testing, like mandatory PAT testing, which that's what it said in the manual. It wasn't a huge cost. It was like 25 quid, but still that was mandatory.
It's something. Yeah, it's still something.
Yeah. In total, the lighting situation that I paid money to them for was like 260 pounds, something like that. So like over 300 bucks. I'm not kidding. And that's not including the actual lights that I bought. But get this, throughout the whole show, I'm noticing everybody's using battery operated lights. Everybody's smart as fuck and they're using these like work site lights. They're just run on these massive like batteries that you know, kind of like camera batteries, you know? And so on the last day, the person who sold me the stand, she came in and she wanted to see if I wanted to book in for the next event. And in all honesty, I wanted to, but I've changed my mind at this point. Like, there's no fucking way I'm dealing with these people again. But I was like, okay, yeah, let's go have a chat because I have things that I need to bring up. So I'll bring up these lighting issues, and she says, oh, it's not us, it's the contractors, whatever. I'll take you to the office, and there's a person who will talk to you. So she took me to the office and I was able to speak to a lady who heard me out, I guess is the way to put it. But then she was like, email me this conversation and I'll get back to you in 48 hours, which she did. And I got a full refund for the whole thing.
Thank
as a
goodness.
gesture of goodwill, apparently. Not as a, I'm sorry we misled you.
Oh, that makes me so mad.
I know. Obviously, the first attempt at making it right was, we'll give you a free socket at the next event. And I was like, I'm not fucking doing the next event. Give me my money back.
I'm proud of you for like saying something though and following through, because that's the other thing. They like, it's almost like they're kind of like, do it. Like, are you at, because I feel like a lot of people will get so overwhelmed at something like in that situation, and just like in general, because it's a very like high anxiety level experience to vend. So it's almost like they bank on artists and vendors
100%
just not following through.
There was no way I would let it slide. There's no chance.
Yeah.
Like, I would, knowing myself, the type of a person that I am, if there's something that's bothering me, like I can't shut the fuck up about it. Like, I need to let it out. I have no jar inside of me that I can store this.
This is true Leo energy, and
yeah, I know. I just can't.
It can't be controlled.
I keep wanting to, because there's everyday life things that come up and I'm like so mad at them. But like, I tried to be like, okay, let's, work. The only way that I can work it through is like open my fucking mouth. Okay. And like share that with somebody else, like put that burden on someone else as well. So yeah, there's no way that I could live with myself if I didn't say anything, because it was extremely unfair. I literally felt bullied into that shit, and I paid so much more money than anybody else as well. Like if you think about that, for your first timer, I said that to that lady, like, you would expect me to like do everything by the book. And I would want to do everything by the book as a first timer, correct? Correct.
Right.
And so I'm interpreting your things the way that I can interpret them. And now you tell me, oh, that's not what we meant in the exhibitor manual. Like, well, excuse me, if I can chew it right up. Like, come on. Anyway, obviously they gave me a refund. They didn't do it because they were not in the wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, like awful experience. I paid like shit ton more than other people. I paid for the extras that didn't have to, which fair enough, got a refund, but that was in the first place. They took the money.
They totally bank on people interpreting the way that you did so that they make more money.
Mm-hmm. And like how many other people that were exhibiting that like never knew, you know, never learned, never went to complain, never. Yeah, it sucks. Like that's my main beef is like it's a cash grab, you know, this like, it's just money grab.
Yeah, I'm sure people who have vended there before did that, like have learned. They probably didn't get their money back from the first time, but I'm sure almost every person whose first time experience it was to be there did the same thing you did. Like, why wouldn't you when a manual is that huge on like what you're allowed to do and not do?
It's really bad. Anyway, I got to chat with Wild Floss. She popped in.
Oh, I love her.
I know, you do. I wish that you were there. But
I was so jealous.
I know. I know. She's such a sweetheart. She was doing a couple of workshops. She didn't have a stand, but she told me about the workshops, as well as the RSN people told me about the workshops. They charge roughly like 20 quid per person to be at the workshop, to attend the workshop. And the event organizers take more than half of that. And then they give you like £9 per person, and they expect you to pay to have supplies worth £5 or under. So if your supplies are worth £5 per person, you're making like £4 per person on the workshop. And people are paying 20 quid. Like, how much do you think the people who are paying 20 quid to be at the workshop expect the tutor or wherever you want to call the workshop runner person to be investing in the supplies and in their time? I'm sure that's not what they're expecting, that the organizers take more than half. I can see you're like pulling your eyes down.
It just makes me so deeply annoyed when an organization, whoever is like the third party, gets such a high percentage of the fee just for
Nothing.
what? And honestly, that's not an uncommon thing. If you teach online through like a third party, they usually take a huge chunk. If someone approaches me about doing a workshop now, I just say, this is my fee.
This is your daily. Yeah.
And I don't, because otherwise it's like, if I make this at the end of the day, I will consider teaching. And
yeah.
Because it's just not worth it.
Yeah. Wild Floss did recommend me a couple other people that she does workshops with who, that's what she said. You just give them your daily rate and they deal with it. You know?
Well, good. Oh, that... And the other part that I think is like so frustrating about that experience is like there's this wave, I think we're part of it, of this like modern artist who understands our value and our worth and like is demanding more of paying ourselves appropriately. But I think it is still a pretty like old way of thinking, but I think it's still pretty prevalent, is that was like the common practice to just not pay artists as much. I mean, so for people to say, like, for people to teach those workshops, that's like standard. Like, those people I expect to not make very much for doing those things.
Yeah, but why?
Like, they're just used to it. I know, but I think it's just been like so ingrained in like the maker space in general of just like not like, no, this is just always what it's been. We've always taken 30, 40, 50% of whatever the fee is. It's fine. It's just, this is normal.
It's the same with like the gallery businesses as well.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. And it's like,
give them money to exhibit.
And I understand, like, for a gallery space, I kind of understand, because at least they are protecting your art. They're showing it. They have to pay their employees who are like working at the gallery. So like I kind of get it. But a lot of them, it's just an exorbitant amount of money. And like, who has that money? And then that means your art, you have to price your art even higher. Ugh, no, thank you.
That's the whole thing. Like, no fucking thank you. My time and money and efforts are much better spent elsewhere. Not even thank you for, well, actually, yeah, maybe I can thank them for the life lesson, you know, and I'm sorry, you're just shitty fucking people. I don't want to deal with you. Like,
yeah. Did you find that an uptick in exposure wise? Like, did you notice an uptick on social media at all?
no. I mean, there were, I was doing like a little, for my Satin Stitch Squad, the monthly pattern subscription. I printed some leaflets and I put like a code on there, like a discount code for the first month. And there were a couple of people who did sign up.
At least you got to meet a couple people in person. Like
Yes.
that's a plus.
Honestly, the
And
highlight.
yeah, it's a life lesson. Ugh, I think the other part that like it's like a kick me while I'm down kind of experience too, because I feel like sales have been down for a lot of us and like the state of the world is kind of uncertain. So people aren't spending money as much. And then like now there's this whole thing with the EU and then Canada Post is on strike. Like there's just,
oh my
I feel
gosh,
like,
yes.
you know what I mean? It's like so many things. And then all on top of that, I didn't break even. I didn't make profit on this experience that I had such high hopes for. Like that's, I think that's the most soul crushing bit about it. It's like,
yeah, it was gonna be like, because the way that we pay taxes in this country, you have to pay like for the previous year as well as for half of the next year estimated. And the deadline is 31st of January. So like my last year was amazing. Like the best year that I've had to date.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of taxes to be paid. And so this was going to be like one of the opportunities for me to make like a nice chunk to put towards that. But it ended up like literally costing me money instead, which, super annoying. But again, like life experience, this is the shit that you learn from like nobody else, like nothing else.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that. And like, I'm calm somehow about it. Like, I'm angry at them for their shitty practices, you know, for misleading people. But I'm glad that I have this behind my shoulders. You know, some people would be like, this kind of experience could really put you off of everything else, like trusting people and,
oh my gosh, yes.
you know, that stuff. It's kind of like that, but not necessarily, because I have obviously other experiences that I can come back to and learn from. For me, it's more of a do your fucking research, talk to people. You know, if I would have known that they're charging me so much more than other people, there's no way I would let that slide. You know what I mean? There's no need whatsoever for me to be paying 30% more or even more than that, maybe even like 40% more than other people. Like there's just no need. Why is that the practice? Do you just kind of like go, oh, she's got this many followers and, you know, quite a few products, like
that might have played into it.
Who knows? Who knows? You know what I mean? Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, you're lucky enough that you know your value as a small business and as an artist already prior to coming into this. Like, can you imagine if like you just started your small business and you like did this for the exposure? Okay, so like let's say you did go into this fully just for that. You know what I mean? Like how soul crushing.
Hannah. There was a girl that I met. That's exactly what happened to her. And she did not do too well. I'm not going to mention names. I don't know that she'll listen to that.
Yeah.
But I felt so bad. It was, again, her first time. She probably paid shit ton of money.
Yeah.
She didn't have lights because the manual is fucking too long. And, you know, you would think... Actually, like the way that the venue is set up, depending on where you are, like which stand you are, you would
better lighting.
Yes, exactly. Like the stuff in the center would not necessarily need lights. But if you're on the sides, which I was and she was, you definitely need lights because they have these fascia boards that cast like a massive shadow from those lights as well. So yeah, her stand was like as many, you know, like she's so good and she's fairly new. Yeah, like I don't want to say too much, but bless. Like I felt bad. I felt bad for myself, but I felt even more worse for her.
Yeah, because that gives you this like false representation that what you do is not appreciated or like worthy of being sold, when like, no, it's just that this event is poorly managed and like poorly planned.
When you sign up, they don't necessarily like tell you like how good is
Where
this
you're gonna be.
space.
Yeah.
They tell you that like, oh, they can show you around. Like if people have purchased the stands around you, they'll tell you who they are and you can do your research. But like on the phone call, what are you gonna do? Go like do research before be like, okay, let me check out those people and then I'll come back to you with my decision. Like, nah, that's not how it works. You have to give them your decision. Like, but also like people can change their mind. Maybe they need some more space, so they're gonna be moved. So when you sign up like months before, this could be a total false representation of what's gonna be around you. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, that gives me so much anxiety.
Yeah. It's awful. Like, honestly, just like their practices is crazy. Just nuts. And you know what? Actually, yeah, this experience, that's another drop that just like, it made me angry, but that was like before the event. So like I had not crazy too many expectations, but that thing made me think, oh, actually, this is not fucking gonna be great, is it? The girl who sold me the stand calls me literally 2 days before. Like it was Tuesday, she calls me and she's like, hey, do you want like an extra meter to your stand to the left? I can give you a discount. And I was like, well, what happened? And she was like, well, people just wanted to shift around or whatever. She didn't really give me a proper answer. She was just like, I can give you an extra meter to the left. If you want it, I'll give you like, you can pay like £150 per meter. I was like, okay, no thanks.
That's great.
But the truth is, this is where, like in the contract, if you cancel before 6 months of the event, you're not getting your money back. So if somebody had canceled their stand and then they're trying to sell that space 2 days before the actual event, they're like, oh, we can give you a discount. But like, I'm sorry, you already got paid for the space.
Yeah.
And you're trying to make even more money off of me.
Of course they are.
Of course they are. But like, that's the mentality, right? Like, but also, why the fuck would you 6 months? I'm sorry, I booked this event 4 months before.
Right.
Like
so like
when
you
I
never
booked
even.
Exactly. I was never in the window to pay like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get that as well in their contract. If they cancel the event, you get 90% back.
They still get to keep for not even. Oh.
Yep. And they also charge £100 fee just for registration, which is like when you sign the contract. That's like not refundable in no case.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So don't want to like, I've spilled enough beans here. Okay. I don't want to get too much into like the anger and frustration because you've probably already felt that. But this, like, the final kind of like conclusion is a fucking no thank you. Okay, like we're gonna name this episode no fucking thank you. I highly like suggest that if you are considering doing these shows, like, you know, niche down type things, like there's nothing wrong with doing them, but if it's your first time, you need to talk to people. You need to find out what the going rate is for the square footage. You need to find out who exactly you're going to be near, what exactly is the, organizers like manual and all that stuff. You need to query everything. You need to get phone numbers. You need to call people, talk to people, like make them accountable for all the information that they do and do not provide, and then make that decision. You know, not based on, oh, I'm sorry, we can sell this stand to somebody else tomorrow. Come back to us today. Like, that's just a cold bullying practice into making you make a decision you do not need to make straight away. Because I'll tell you this, for the next, you know how I said that on the last day they were trying to sign up whoever wanted for the next event. You know, they would walk around with the, what's it called? With a piece of paper of the floor plan for that event.
Like a diagram? Yeah.
Yeah. And they would give you maybe 2-3 options of where to choose. And they said everything else is booked at this point. Everyone's got their stands. And that is like, I can't prove this, but it's a fucking lie.
It's gotta be bullshit.
It has to be. It has to be. There's no way they have the whole event booked. Like, I promise you, if you put your name down, like, I don't know, maybe 4 weeks before, they will call you and they'll try and sell you something for sure.
Ugh, that makes my skin crawl. And it's just taking advantage of small businesses and of artists who like are just so desperate to get their products and their name out there.
Like, this event could have gone so much more different if the organizers weren't the organizers that they were. You know, like, I'll have beef with like some contractors that misled us, you know, like some doors was closed, like there's other issues on the venue, and I can blame the venue for that, not the organizers. But take away all the negatives. If I got charged the standard amount, if I could buy my own lights that were battery operated and didn't pay a shit ton more to them, I would have not been in negatives money wise. That's first. Second of all, I would have had such a better experience.
Yeah.
And third of all, I would probably book it again. Maybe not that event because, you know, you still, like, I was there to make money. If I made a little bit, like, that's not worth it. I needed to make a lot more. But I would potentially give the other one in London a chance, you know, or something like that. And I would definitely not be shitting on this company on this podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it could have been so much different. And that is, like, the only people to blame is the event organizers, literally.
Well, and it would be also different if this was like their first time doing it.
I'm sure the first time they wouldn't do this stuff. They got crazy comfortable, okay? Like, the only way that you could do the shady things is because you're comfortable. We're doing it for the first time, you're not comfortable. You would be, like, making sure you provide value.
Right.
Like, the value was not provided, okay? Like, at all. Not to the vendors. And honestly, like, not even to the visitors. Like, I don't believe that there was much value for the visitors either. Probably fun, maybe a one-time experience. And people come, like, dedicated year after year after year. And every single time, these, like, you know, regulars, they're like, it's getting worse and it's getting worse and it's getting worse because the greed becomes higher and higher and higher.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's all. People are welcome to send me DMs and questions and whatnot, and I'll be happy to answer everything. But yeah, it was an experience. And again, this only applies to the specific event, the specific company who organizes it, which I'm happy to share the name of if you DM me. Learn from my experience. I don't know. I feel like I'm not even overreacting. You know what I mean? I could probably say like a lot more negative stuff.
You're also like so level-headed about it too, which is like...
What do you mean?
Like, it's all just, it's not like your feelings about things. It's just factual information.
Yeah, I mean, can't argue with the facts.
I feel like if I were in your situation and talking about it, I'd probably just start crying. So.
Oh no, crying was never enough. Well, I actually don't cry that much, which is kind of weird.
Your cat on the screen almost made me cry because I just miss you. I miss your cats.
They miss you too.
We, I just realized also didn't prep any of the other segments that we like to do on this podcast.
Oh my gosh, let this episode be what it is. Okay. We'll give people a heads up. This is a complaint, like a total vending sesh. Like,
but this is also what people I think listen to us for. It truly is like a bitch and stitch kind of experience, and I hope that our listeners
stitch and bitch, but we're not stitching.
We're not. That's why I called it a bitch and stitch. I was very specific.
I thought you just fucked it up.
No. I truly hope that people are just like agreeing and like nodding their heads, and like maybe a couple people have gotten a hoop out and they're stitching, but
Oh, also, I want to give people a tip. So if you were to go visit one of these shows, there is a list of vendors that they put out. There's always like an exhibitor, what do they call it?
Yeah.
Like list, basically.
Like the headliners and then, yeah.
Yeah. You can find literally every single person like to date that they've signed. Go to their like Instagram profiles, whatever, email them, like literally email a bunch of them and ask them for free tickets. Do not fucking pay that money. Ask for free tickets.
Oh, does every vendor get free tickets?
Yeah, not a ton. I think you get 8 tickets, like 4 pairs of tickets.
But still.
So yeah, do that. if you want to go, because like no way I'm paying so much money to go. Like I want to go next year because
Yeah.
I didn't have an opportunity to go shop around. I
And-
only like
yeah.
visited a couple places, but I want to go next year and first of all like see the people that I met, you know, like catch up all the stuff, and then like maybe do a little bit of shopping. But I'm 100% getting free tickets just because it's an option, and people don't know that it's an option. They encourage, like the organizers encourage you to do giveaways for these tickets, but a lot of people
So
don't
it's
do
more,
that.
because then it's more exposure for their market.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway,
It's so
yeah.
slimy.
That's a good word, actually. Yeah, dodgy. Do you know that word?
Yeah. Yes.
Dodgy.
Although
Yeah.
that is more of a Brit word, but yeah.
It is, yeah, sketchy, isn't it? The American.
That's why I said slimy, because it's not anything.
You know, Lock and Key, one of our
Yeah.
favorite shows.
Oh man.
Dodge. Fucking
Yes,
what
Dodge.
an
I
amazing
know.
nickname.
Such a good one.
Yeah,
That's
if
such a
I-
good show.
So good. I like really want to rewatch it. And I'm so
Same.
sad that they're like, it's, you know, I'm sure that they can
know.
come up with another storyline, but I don't know that they had enough exposure to
Also,
like make the money.
It was also that good. Like I don't want them
So
to like
good.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want
But
them to
I do.
butcher another
But I
season
do.
and
No,
ruin
I
it.
want-
No. I'm in a different I'm in a different box. I'm just like, don't F it up.
Like it
Anyway.
came out when in like 2022. It's like pretty fresh.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
put 3 seasons on within like a year
my
or like a year and a half. And honestly, like I've rewatched it since like
I'm
maybe
gonna rewatch it
6
today.
times. I might. Like I actually wanted to watch it last night. So good.
It's no longer
Recommendation.
stitch and bitch. It's bitch and watch something.
Bitch and watch. We'll leave it at that, okay?
we should leave this little bit in so people can
No, we will-
non-sponsor.
Totally. Everyone needs to watch Lock and Key on Netflix.
So good.
Like, amazing recommendation from both of us.
Yes.
But going back to the actual Unstitched pod, apologies for being MIA. Like, honestly, this has always been just like the fashion. What am I saying? Passion project. I wish it was a fashion project.
This is just for funsies.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't put too much pressure on us. I know, like, you guys enjoy listening to our stupid voices, but
It is heartwarming when we get messages that are like,
I
"Where
know,
did you
I
go?"
love it.
Something.
I love it.
I'm like, "Oh, you're the best," because I'm
I
so
know.
sorry.
Me too. No, I love it. I love that we have this. The only annoying
do
thing is,
too.
like, we were fully committed to doing this video, and video proved to be extremely time consuming. Actually, we have to pay for the fucking software as well, which is not cheap. And it's not even that good. So yeah, a lot easier to do audio. This is what's gonna be from now on.
Yeah.
We'll see for how
Unless
long.
we're together.
Yeah, unless we're together,
That's a little
because
bit
audio
easier.
is much easier to edit, and we can be, like less prep, let's call it. So yeah, I really want to do it like still, every 2 weeks. This will be much better if we can figure out, timings and whatnot. So yeah, please tell us what you want to hear us talk about. Not that we don't have shit to talk about, because we do. We have like lists of stuff, but yeah, let us know what you think we should talk about in the next episode. We'll consider that, and we'll try and be better and on time.
I also think it would be kind of cool if on the next episode we did a little segment of like, I don't want to call them horror stories of vending, but like, because you cannot be the only person that's had this
Oh my
kind of experience.
I
Like,
don't know that we
I-
have enough people that like have experience as listeners, but we can ask. Yeah, maybe we can ask.
Maybe. Or also other side, like truly like what are markets that you've participated in that have been knockout for you? Like what would you recommend applying for in the UK or the United States? Because like, please share so that
'cause
we
it's
have better
not-
experiences.
Not like a directory of, good
No.
markets and stuff like that. They kind
Yeah.
of keep it to themselves.
So if you're listening, share.
Yeah, please.
The good and the bad.
Yeah, tell us your stories in the comments. DM us, like, I don't know.
Please.
Wherever, email us.
Email us. Yeah.
Yeah, send us stories. Maybe if we have some stories to share, we will in the next episode.
Yes. We'll be here. We're going to do it.
We'll do it.
We're not going to get sick. We're nothing else.
Alrighty, and thank you guys for listening. I'm sorry about the vending. Honestly, Venting. That's the word. I am also
Venting.
sorry about vending. But
These word slips have been so good today.
always.
Oh.
Anyway, yes, thank you so much for hanging out with us, for getting on Stitch with us. We can't wait to hear from you about the horror stories or your opinions. Yeah, share your opinions, whatever. And we will see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, please follow us on socials, get in touch with us through our email or on any social media platforms. And if you do listen and partake and you haven't done so already, please give us a review on any of the streaming platforms that you listen to podcasts, because that helps us.
Bye.
Bye.
Perfect. I love
Look
that
at
you
us
put
go.
a peace sign. As if
Even though
somebody's
nobody's going to have
see
the
it.
video. I'm just so used to it. This is millennial of me.